Good morning, buenos dias. Glad to be back in Commission Chambers with some upgrades in our equipment and some seating arrangements, new seating arrangements. Call the meeting to order. This is February 6th Taos County Commission meeting. It is 9:01, 9:02. Welcome, everybody. We'll go ahead and get started with roll call. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Romero? Present. Commissioner Brush? Present. Vice Chair Mascareñas?
Present.
Chairman Romero?
Present. Get everybody? Okay, we do have a quorum. Thank you. We'll move on to the inspirational devotion. Anyone have any words of devotion this morning? If not, I'll go ahead and offer the prayer of serenity prayer. Lord, give us the strength, the courage, and the tenacity to change the things we can change, the patience and humility to accept the things we can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you. And now we move to the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Miguel Romero, would you lead us to the pledge?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Hill.
I salute the flag of the state of Mexico.
This is a symbol
of perfect friendship
among united cultures.
Thank you. And we move now to the approval of the agenda. Second by Commissioner Mascareñas. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Vehil?
Yes.
Commissioner Brush?
Yes.
Vice Chair Mascareñas?
Yes.
Chairman Romero?
Yes. And next on the agenda is awards and recognitions. Mr. Jaramillo.
Thank you, Chair Romero. Good morning, Commissioners, once again. First, I would also like to recognize our other anniversaries in the month of January. Jose Apodaca from the Solid Waste Department completed 1 year. Ruben Lucero from Animal Control Sheriff's Office completed 1 year. Christopher Madrid completed 1 year. Damian Romo completed 1 year at the detention center. And then Jason has completed 3 years with the county. Miranda Quintana has completed 3 years. And Darian Fernandez from Fire and Rescue has completed 7 years. Leonard Ortiz from Dispatch has completed 8. And William Brown from the detention center has completed 11. Gilberto Jaramillo has completed 13. Duela Romero has completed 18. And Marianne Gonzalez has completed 21 years. And Cheryl Lucero has also completed 21 years as well. And we're here also to recognize today 2 gentlemen that are here with us. First, we'd like to recognize Lorenzo Gutierrez, and please come forward, Lorenzo. And Lorenzo, as we all know, Lorenzo has a lot of passion for his job, and sometimes he gets going, and And sometimes he's going 100 miles an hour. So we appreciate Lorenzo's passion. So years of service certificate in recognition of 10 years of service to Taos County presented to Lorenzo Gutierrez from January 2013 to January 2024. Taos County Board of Commissioners, Bob Romero, District 1, Darlene Vigil, District 3, Ronald Mascareñas, District 5, Miguel Romero Jr., District 2, and Jeanette Brush, District 4, Brent Harmon County Manager. Thank you, Lorenzo, for your 10 years of service. I don't know if Edward wants to say anything.
I'd like to thank the Taos County Administration and Mr. Edward Martinez, the Solid Waste Director, for always, in this 10 years, always supporting all of Taos County's environmental projects that we've taken on. Everything from tarping loads, illegal dumping, organizing rivers and lands cleanup, Earth Day, and for our latest project, we've developed a great recycling program that Taos County is operating right now, and we can only see it improving and building it up in the future. Thank you again, and God bless America. Thank you, Logan.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Brush.
could I just make a comment? Lorenzo, I think we met at the very beginning of your term, and I just want to thank you for your passion and all of the help you've given for those various areas you just mentioned, but especially the Firewise effort that you have helped throughout the county. You guys have gone above and beyond, and that's so important to our community. So I appreciate you a lot. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to echo, we love your passion and we love that you get going. And so please continue to be who you are. Thank you. Very infectious.
Thank you. Anyone else?
So next we have James Hampton. Please come forward. So we know Mr. Hampton is our fire marshal, but beyond that is he's been Chief Cordova's right hand, left hand. He's been the sounding board for Chief Cordova as well. So they haven't done it alone. Over the changes that have been happening in fire and rescue, James has been right there with Mike. And like I said, they bounce ideas off each other. And the other thing, those of us that have worked closely with James know that he's prepared. He goes into a meeting prepared. The ordinances are prepared and researched, and we appreciate everything that James has done for us. So in recognition of 5 years of service, we have the certificate, years of service certificate in recognition of 5 years of service to Taos County presented to James Hampton, January 2018 to January 2024. Taos County Board of Commissioners, FR, Bob Romero, District 1, Miguel Romero Jr., District 2, Darlene Vigil, District 3, Angela Brush, District 4, and Ronald Mascareñas, District 5, and myself as County Manager. Thank you, James, for your 5 years of service and for helping push the county along with Mike. We appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Good morning, commissioners and everyone. First off, I just want to say a huge thank you. This has been a truly amazing trip so far. I realize I'm not very far into it compared to some of the people in the county, but it's truly been something that I've really cherished. It's something I really enjoy doing. So I just want to thank all of you commissioners and the administration for all the positive changes we've had in the last couple of years. It's really because of you guys pushing it. And so I just want to take this opportunity to tell you guys thank you for that. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, James.
Thank you, James.
Mr. Chair, go ahead. Okay. So I wanted to share a quick story, James, that when I became a commissioner and I was in Albuquerque at a conference, your name was mentioned. And I didn't know you at the time, but the word was he is a keeper, and a lot of good things were said about you. And I have to tell you that now that I have gotten to know you, they are exactly right. So we're very fortunate to have you here with us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'll just also add a quick story. The last couple of years with respect to your area of fire have been scary, to say the least. And I have seen James out there in high-risk communities talking with folks who were legitimately frightened. And the way you approach that and the way that you can just be like a calming force, a reasonable calming force in a tough situation is so incredibly unique and valuable. So I want to thank you. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are now on 7B, new hires for the month of January 2024.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ariana Matthews, and I'm the Human Resources Office, and I'm presenting to you the new hires for the month of January. Starting up on the left, we have Julia Herrera from the assessors. She's the assessor's receptionist. We have Miguel Cárdenas, Meals on Wheels driver. Angel Gonzalez, administrative assistant for the facilities and MIS department. And Frank Lesica, Meals on Wheels driver. Please join us in welcoming these employees to the Taos County team.
Thank you. We move now to segment on citizen concerns and public comments. This is an opportunity for anyone in the room to speak on any issue. Also, we'll take calls online. So we do limit it to 3 minutes. We don't do discussion, or we can't take action because it's not an item on the agenda. But go ahead and come forward. Commissioner Josh, if he would be the timekeeper, please.
I'm Lori Balliot. A petition circulated by the Taos Action Group now has more than 900 signatures protesting the construction of the slaughterhouse that is called a matanza. The people who speak Spanish know that matanza translates as massacre. The people who signed it do not want the slaughterhouse to be built. We ask that you stop construction, and if it must get built, move it to private property in a less populated area. The slaughterhouse, or the matanza, as it is officially called, does not belong on publicly owned land or leased land, whether owned by the town or leased by the county or the TCEDC. We would like you to publicly address how the town came to acquire the parcel of land, and when, why, and how the county came to be the fiscal agent of the TCEDC, and why you think it is okay to use this land for anything other than anything connected to solid waste services or other municipal services. We would like you to publicly address how this does not violate the anti-donation clause in the New Mexico Constitution. According to the last published census, there are over 35,000 people in Taos County, and according to the latest agricultural census, it appears there are only about 500 people who raise cows, sheep, and pigs to eat or sell for food. That's less than 1.5% of our population. So the grant money, over $3 million, will only put money directly into the pockets of 1.5% of the population. The other 98.5% of our population includes multicultures, and not all of them eat animals. And many of us do not want to live in the presence of a killing facility. Taos County is a pluralistic society. When it comes to religious and spiritual beliefs, many of us do not adhere to the Judeo-Christian belief that, quote, animals are put here for us to eat. In our county, there are Buddhist temples and a popular Hindu ashram as well. And beyond these two religions, there are many people whose spiritual and religious beliefs that do not support eating animals. They have these beliefs. So forcing those of us to live among this massacre facility feels like an assault to our very ways of being. This brings me to psychological and social studies that show people who live in the vicinity of a slaughterhouse experience negative psychological and emotional effects. It is not just the people who work in slaughterhouses who experience these effects, such as trauma and PTSD, but also those who live near them. Even when you minimize this facility, calling it just a small slaughterhouse, these psychological effects are real. We do not want to be exposed to such psychological and emotional trauma by being forced to live among this killing facility. We still want to see an environmental impact statement, and if one has not been completed, we demand one happens before the final permit is signed. please take our comments and considerations into account. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else would like to speak? Come forward.
Good morning, commissioners, civic leaders. Thank you for taking a moment, and thanks for all you do. I want to take just a minute to put my name with my face and our identity with the Repurposing Plastic Project. Some of you may have had a chance to read an email I sent on Friday to you. I don't expect that. That wasn't homework over the weekend. So just to let you know, about the email and to address a few things in it. The Repurposing Plastic Project has tried to respond creatively to the crisis in 2019 when China stopped taking the world's plastic. Many communities across the world, all over the United States and our own, were confronted with what to do with this plastic. And it became a pandemic of its own, a huge pollution problem that no one has created an inventive solution to do. Out of crisis mentality and scarcity, what we do, as you know, is dump it all in the landfill. Plastic is actually a precious product, and we've taken 150,000 pounds of our community's plastic and turned that into walls. We've turned that into structures. We've learned to repurpose our plastic and turn waste into walls. We have 5 demonstration projects around the county, 2 of which have been approved by Taos Planning and Zoning. These are real proof of concept to show that we can do something else with our plastic. So I wanted to introduce this topic to you in case you haven't heard of it. The email that I sent you has a video on YouTube that was professionally done with help from the Lohr Foundation and from UNM Media Studios. It's a great watch to understand what we're up to. Our request is that we consider collaboration in the future. It's unfair to expect our government to handle all of our waste problems. Lorenzo has worked with our group, the Repurposing Plastic Project. Jennifer Paris is an ally in this work, and we'd like to envision with you a sustainable waste stewardship model where we're not throwing anything away, as if there isn't a way. As you know, plastic doesn't degrade into anything but plastic. We have it in our oceans, we have it in our streams, we have it in our bodies. If we can out something that has a high tensile strength, that bends back, it has insulating properties, and it's rigid, and we encase it in metal and then encase that in stucco, and it looks like a cinder block wall or an adobe wall. It can be used in any application. We're excited to be building a reuse shed through a grant that you all helped approve, and that the Las Cordovas station will be building a reuse shed. Jennifer will be talking about that in just a minute, I think. I wanted to give you the good news that Hotel Villa is embracing the wall project. I have a small flyer to hand to you, just so you know. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, Commissioners, Mr. Hamarillo, Mr. Silva, Mr. Madrid, and other administrators. I'm Jennifer Paris, and I have been working with Repurposing Plastic for a year. And it also brought me to work with Taos County for a year. I worked with Lorenzo and Edward to put together the information to write the RAID grant, which has received your final approval, I think, or will today. And so we can move towards fulfilling that grant. Thank you very much for your support on that. As you know, one of the 4 components of the grant is to construct a reuse shed, as Todd mentioned, at the Los Cordovas Road transfer station from plastic walls manufactured by Repurposing Plastic in their Cuesta facility. The county will purchase 23 panels with wood on the inside and ready to stucco on the outside. It's basically a post and beam structure, but the plastic walls are really very cool, and they'll have a truth window so people can see the plastic inside the wall. And there will be signage to explain and encourage Taoseños to think about what can be built with plastic near their homes, garages, sheds, and walls. I will work again with Edward and Lorenzo on the 2024 RAID grant application that's due March 15th. And I hope that besides the needed equipment, that they are putting a list together, there'll be another shed, hopefully in Arroyo Hondo, at the convenience station. I guess they're renamed now as convenience stations. Cool. And maybe one each year to demonstrate how plastic can be reused constructively in our county. I also worked with Edward and Lorenzo on other community members, such as Taos Land Trust, Taos Soil and Water, Alianza Agricultura de Taos, Taos Ski Valley, Kit Carson, and Conscious Taos on a grant to USDA for compost and food waste that would have laid the infrastructure for composting in the county by working with restaurants and institutions. Our score was very good for a first attempt, but we found out about 10 days ago that only 40% of applicants were funded, and we did not win an award. Still, we have good feedback, and now we have had practice working with many community agencies to promote compost to heal the land and increase nutrition by enriching soils that grow our local foods. You all know well that we do not have enough staff at this time to expand the recycling efforts greatly, and I've seen firsthand how necessary it is to increase revenue for solid waste. I applaud Mr. Jaramillo, Mr. Silva, Mr. Madrid for knowing that expanding recycling is right for the county to do for its people and for our beautiful environment. I look forward to working on a county-wide vision of recycling with Todd and many others who know Taos to be environmentally conscious and moving toward earth-friendly solutions that can be exemplary for other counties. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else in the room? I saw someone. Come forward, please.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for your time. My name is Kevin Pollock. I'm a Taos County resident and homeowner. We've heard people say that the proposed slaughterhouse will allow them to increase their herd size. Right now, with over 96% of Taos County being in a state of drought, is it really the time to increase herd size and water usage? The drought in Taos is a shared challenge that requires collective action. It is time for us to reassess our priorities and move towards sustainable practices that ensure the well-being of our community and the preservation of our natural resources. Let us work together to find innovative solutions, support local initiatives, and build a more resilient and sustainable future for Taos. We hope you're all inspired to make a positive impact on our community and for the environment. If not for you, then what about for your kids? In response to calls for major reduction in meat production, a recent strategy of the cattle industry has been to frame certain forms of livestock grazing as regenerative, claiming that properly managed grazing systems sequester massive amounts of carbon, improve fertility, and promote ecosystem biodiversity. This science, however, says otherwise. All forms of cattle grazing, no matter what they call it, result in net increases in greenhouse gases and cannot offset its own emissions. But they won't tell you that. Mark Twain is said to have had the quote that says, "It's easier to fool people than to convince them they are being fooled." Contrary to industry claims, grazing cattle is simply not an efficient way to produce food. Cows are highly inefficient converters of calories and protein, both in energy consumed and resources used. Cows convert only 3 to 4% of what they consume into human food. Compared to plant proteins, beef requires 6 times more water, 20 times more land, and emits 20 times more greenhouse gases. We are not insensitive to the ranchers' beliefs or their desire to make a profit, but living in change is possible and even profitable. We must promote sustainable and water-efficient agricultural practices. We must diversify our food source and increase water conservation. We can build resilience in the face of drought. Additionally, supporting local initiatives that focus on regenerative agriculture and responsible land management can contribute to the reforestation of our environment. There are many ranchers who have pivoted away from unsustainable business of raising cattle and moving towards profitable business models. Raising human quality food products that use less water, provide jobs, and healthier options are extremely profitable, therefore putting more money in their pockets. We thank you for your attention, and again, we hope you're all inspired to make a positive impact on our community and the environment. And seriously, if not for you, then what about for your kids? I'm wondering if the slaughterhouse would consider putting a truth window in their facility. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else in the room? Please come forward.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time. My name is Sandra Romero. I'm a Taos County Hispanic resident and homeowner. The state of New Mexico single year. We are highly concerned about the enormous amount of water required for growing crops for animals to eat, keeping all of these animals hydrated, and cleaning meat processing facilities, in addition to the TCEDC information in the United States alone. Animal agriculture guzzles 36 to 74 trillion gallons of water per year. Approximately 70% of the planet is covered by water, but only 2.5% of it is fresh water. This means a very small percentage of the world first. Vital sources of fresh water for countless people are being drained at an alarming rate without being replenished. While many of us have the luxury of not having to worry about where our water comes from, billions of people aren't as fortunate. In fact, as estimated, 3 in 10 people worldwide lack access to safe drinking water. And one of the main causes is animal agriculture. Is now the time to talk about increasing herd sizes? About 1/3 of the world's water consumption is used for producing animal products. Growing crops to feed animals killed for food consumes 56% of our water in the United States. Animals produce more manure than can be absorbed by the land as fertilizers, so the runoff grossly contaminates rivers and groundwater. Animal excrement and agricultural runoffs have polluted nearly 1/3 of rivers in the United States, and of those, only 2/3 of the rivers now reach the oceans before being totally drained of water. According to data from Pacific Institute and National Geographic, a pound of beef uses 1,800 gallons of water to produce, and one hamburger uses 600 gallons of water to produce, the equivalent of 2 months worth of showers. They say water is life. Isn't it time to start? We start being responsible for our water use and think about the people and future generations instead of profits. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your comment. Anyone else in the room who would like to speak? Go ahead, Neil.
Good morning. My name is Neil Pilkey. I'm from Llanos San Juan. I don't know if this is proper, but I've never been known to be necessarily proper. But I have an issue I'm going public with a very private issue. My neighbor, Ambrose Mascarenas, needs a little help with prayers at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Anyone else in the room? If not, we'll go to online calls. You can call in to the commission meeting. The number is 575-737-6310. And you can go ahead and call in at any time.
Is it on?
Thanks.
Do not disturb.
You gotta go like that.
Yeah.
See now, it's on.
Okay. Oh, that
Okay,
one.
yeah, that's, DND is do not disturb.
Okay. The number again is 575-737-6310. Give it another 30 seconds. Apparently, we have no calls coming in online. So we'll go ahead and move forward. Next segment is on the agenda, the minutes. I did not receive a PDF on the minutes. I don't know if other commissioners saw those minutes of January 9th. Did you see them?
I did.
Okay, if you want to make a motion to approve.
Yes, I think there was just one. My apologies. Okay, apparently not. So I'd make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Vehil. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Miguel Romero. Any discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Vehil?
Yes.
Commissioner Brush?
Yes.
Vice Chair Mascarenhas?
Yes.
Chairman Romero?
And I will abstain. Thank you. We'll move next to the consent agenda, number 10 on the agenda. Is there any item any commissioner would like to pull out to discuss individually? If not, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve item 10A through G, the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion, Commissioner Brush, second by Commissioner Vehil. Discussion, questions? Not, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Vehil?
Yes.
Commissioner Brush?
Yes.
Vice Chair Mascarenhas?
Yes.
Chairman Romero?
Yes. Thank you, and we move now to resolutions and ordinances. We have 4. This is 11A, discussion and consideration decision regarding resolution USDA Rural Development Grant Application Authorization. Jessica Stern, go ahead.
Chair Romero, Commissioners, good morning. This resolution is actually required by this USDA Rural Business Development. Typically, we ask your approval to receive grants. This one is a little bit different, and then we just require authorization to submit the application.
Any questions, commissioners, on this particular? Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We had a motion by Commissioner Vehil, second by Commissioner Mascarenhas. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Vehil?
Yes.
Commissioner Brush?
Yes.
Vice Chair Mascarenhas?
Yes.
Chairman Romero?
Yes. And we move to,
More.
11.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
I just want you to get closer to the mic.
We'll move to 11B, discussion only, ordinance adopting a county hospital gross receipts tax. Mr. Jaramillo.
Thank you, Commissioner Romero, members of the commission. Before you is just as for discussion only is ordinance number 2024-1, an ordinance adopting the county hospital gross receipts tax. As explained in the ordinance on the November ballot on November 7th, 2023, the voters did approve a 50% 0.50 tax that's supporting the nursing program which will support the nursing program at UNM Taos, and a payment for gross receipts tax bonds for hospital capital projects. And the UNM Taos this is not an ordinance, but UNM Taos will receive 0.25% and of the tax, and the bonding capacity for the hospital be 0.75% of the gross receipts tax. The ordinance was reviewed by legal counsel, and then by legal counsel, we've submitted this for review to the Taxation and Revenue Department. They have no questions on the ordinance. Ms. Brumley has duly published in the Taos News the ordinance, so 2 weeks from today, the commission is going to be asked to adopt this ordinance, and it's just part of the process that we need to go through. The deadline would have been March 31st, so we're a month ahead in getting this over to Taxation and Revenue Department. Quick side note, we've been trying to work with our schedules between our bond counsel and our bond company and the hospital and the folks here at the county. So we've been playing with dates for us to sit down on how the bonding is going to work, but we're right on time. So I stand for any questions regarding the ordinance.
Any questions, commissioners? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
It's just for discussion only.
It's just for.
Oh, okay.
So the next meeting will be up for adoption. So part of the state statutes is we have to publish 14 days before any action's taken. So I at least wanted to give the public the opportunity to see the ordinance before the commission gets to vote on it.
Okay. Thank you, Manager Jaramillo. We move then to 11C, discussion, consideration, and decision regarding the approval of DFA Resolution Number 31, 2023-2024, FY Final Budget, a resolution requesting acceptance and approval of the Department of Homeland Security Emergency Management Hazard Mitigation Assistant Grant Number DR-4529-0011-NM for project development and administration of the Taos County Hazard Mitigation Plan, and to establish final budget for expenses, revenues associated with the grant. Finance Director Emily, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Romero. Good morning, Commissioners. So DFA Resolution 31 is first and foremost accepting and approving this hazard mitigation grant. We currently have one in place. However, it expired in January, but we were granted an extension until this new grant is in place. This grant from the Department of Homeland and Security Emergency Management covers up to 90% of the cost with a 10% county match, which can be in kind. So the grant is to cover professional services to come in and review our current grant, plan, advise on any changes, and to engage the community to be a part of these discussions concerning this hazard mitigation plan. The hazard mitigation plan covers any type of response to natural disaster in Taos County. So this is for approval of this grant and to create a fund and budget associated with contracting these professional services.
Okay, Commissioner Hill.
Just a quick question. What is the amount of the grant?
Oh, I'm sorry.
$80,219.52.
Great, thank you. Thank you. That's all I've got. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move approval of DFA Resolution Number 31 for the 2023-24 fiscal year final budget. Resolution requesting acceptance and approval of the Department of Homeland Security Emergency Management Hazard Mitigation Assistance Grant.
Commissioner Brush, is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Brush, second by Commissioner Vehil to approve item 11C. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Vehil?
Yes.
Commissioner Brush?
Yes.
Vice Chair Mascarenhas?
Yes.
Chair Romero?
Yes. And we move finally to 11D, discussion, consideration, and decision regarding DFA Resolution Number 32 to adjust the DWI distribution grant to decrease a portion of wages and corresponding benefits to meet DFA grant compliance requirements. Emily, go ahead.
So DFA Resolution Number 32 is just to simply allocate a portion of one of the DWI staff's salary from one fund to another. Because we are moving from fund to fund, it does require a resolution. So this is just to meet compliance requirements that was advised by our DFA DWI representative.
Questions for the financial director?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Miguel Romero. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Romero? Commissioner Vehil?
Yes.
Commissioner Brush?
Yes.
Vice Chair Mascarenhas?
Yes.
And Chairman Romero?
Yes. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
And we move along to county managers' reports and matters. Manager Jaramillo.
Thank you again, Chair Romero, members of the commission. I will be brief. I want to start with I'll start with our Economic Development Summit Part 2. Taos County held Part 2 of the Economic Development Summit on January 25th at the Sagebrush Inn and Suites. We had over 50 attendees that were there. The group reviewed the challenges, opportunities, and capacity needs raised during the Part 1 session back in September. So on the 25th, again, we had small group discussions focused on building upon the opportunities that exist to address the challenges faced throughout Taos County and what economic development focus is and within those opportunities. The attendees did request a Part 3 summit to take place to identify specific action items. These actions will eventually be incorporated into the economic development portion of the county comprehensive plan that the planning department is working on, and that our economic development director, Jessica Stern, will have input on, and will be part of the process in attending those community meetings. On our so we also have some good news. One of the first things that Ms. Stern did when she started working with us is applied for a fellowship program. Jeff, you'll get the press release in a few minutes. Today, we can officially share the news of our participation in the inaugural Economic Recovery Corps Fellowship Program. The Economic Recovery Corps Fellowship Program aims to build capacity in economically distressed areas across the United States while cultivating the next generation of economic development leaders. From over 500 host applications, Taos County is among 65 host sites selected to receive help in advancing a project critical to economic recovery in our community. We are the only community in New Mexico to be selected. There was a couple of other considerations, but we ended up being the only one. We are delighted also to be matched with our local Tasenia Contessa Trujillo, many of whom you know. Contessa brings a wealth of expertise and passion to help us and local stakeholders conduct a cultural and outdoor asset mapping study for equitable development for the next 2.5 years. Building off her work with the Paseo Project, the Destination Stewardship Plan, and her deep roots in this community, Contessa County. Contessa competed against 1,500 applicants and for one of 65 fellowship spots. So that's pretty good. This study will identify tangible assets such as venues, vacant facilities, trails, underutilized resources in our community centers that support outdoor and creative economies. The study will also aim to identify places that are valuable and tangible assets that will hold historic meaning and memory and are considered cultural treasures, which we do not want to lose to development. Jessica will be sharing a press release later this afternoon with more information about the project. We'll also be posting this on our Facebook page as well. Just to give you some additional information, the Economic Recovery Corps program matched 65 host sites nationwide with dedicated fellows, fully funded for the next two and a half years, who will act as a field catalyst to build and strengthen and coordinate relationships with local efforts alongside their host community. This first cohort of fellows and host sites represent practitioners and leaders with passion, skills, and vision to advance new ways of doing economic development. With the 65 fellows at host sites located across 44 states and territories, projects represent an exciting cross-section of rural, urban, and tribal communities. Hosts reflect the entire community and economic development field spectrum, from city and county government to regional coalitions, economic development organizations, economic development districts, entrepreneurial support organizations. Launched in 2023 through $30 million in cooperative agreement with the U.S. Department of Commerce, the EDA Economic Development Administration, the ERC Fellowship is designed to build capacity in some of the hardest hit, the most economically distressed areas across the United States, cultivating the next generation of economic development leaders. Was this the second week or third week that you were here that you started applying for this? Second week. So either by the end of the first week or the second week, she asked, hey, can I go for this grant? And she explained it to me and Mr. Madrid. So we cut her loose, and we've kind of been in the embargo of releasing that information. So Jessica's pretty excited about this. I don't know if you want to add anything, Jessica. So again, I want to congratulate Jessica. I know her and Contessa will make a good team as well. They've worked on destination stewardship together, so they're already familiar with each other, and Contessa does understand the community as well. So I think she is a good choice. Moving on is one of the, for dispatch. So one of the emphasis areas that E91 Director Roberto Zaragoza has been training and raising the level of expertise for each of his members of his team. His goal is to have a highly trained and experienced staff, and Roberto also believes that applies to him. So Roberto applied and was awarded an executive certificate through the State of New Mexico Law Enforcement Academy. He was able to use his experience to get this certification that he's can run the dispatch center. So if you see Roberto, please congratulate him for this, for his work and trying to move his department forward. And then our next area is on human resources. As of yesterday, the vacancy rate was 16%. I will forward you guys the email to that effect. We've started advertising again for dispatch and detention. Those still remain our areas that we're under capacity there, or over capacity is probably the right word to say. So we're continuing to work on that as well. And then I also like to thank Colin Miller, Anissa, the entire facilities department. Facilities did come in, paint the commission chambers. We cleaned out the lights, so there's no longer bugs. It probably hasn't been cleaned since the commission moved in. Cleaned every nook and cranny that we can see. So we're still, there might be a few little glitches that we need to work through, but I'd like to thank Colin and Anissa and for all the work in the commission chambers, and it's been a process. So we're still changing things around, and we'll eventually be moving off of GoTo and going fully into Microsoft Teams. And we do need to encourage folks to be present in the commission meeting if they want to make presentations, because it'll be just that much better versus trying to do it online. Moving on to the planning department, Mr. Jones did present last week, Mr. Trujillo, myself, and the rest of the team, a red line version of the short-term rental ordinance. I'm still going through it. I'm sure Mr. Trujillo will be meeting a little bit later with planning staff as well, but Mr. Jones is trying to narrow that down. And then the other thing he's working is with Granicus, because what's getting reported was also the town of Taos numbers, Red River's numbers. And so that was also getting reported on that. So he's working with them to clean that up, so to speak. Last week, we did, Commissioners Bob Romero, Angela Brush, and Darlene Hill, along with myself, did attend Taos County Day. Mr. Plant was there as well, and I thought it went off pretty well. We were guests of Senator Gonzalez on the rostrum on the floor, and the Senator did recognize us, as well as other municipal partners as well, and our school district partners as well. And then we came upstairs for our speeches, and I thought everybody did well. Senator Gonzalez did have a certificate that was certificate here. With that being said, I stand for any questions.
Questions? Is there any further update on anything happening at the legislature as far as the capital outlay or any legislation we've been following?
Let me double check my phone, because I knew somebody would ask that. It passed, the Senate Bill 113 passed another committee. That the legislators are talking to each other, drilling down the numbers for capital outlay, but I don't have what we're going to be receiving at this point. One other thing to mention, I think most of you do know that Commissioners Behill and Brush and myself will be in Washington, D.C. next week, attending the National Association of Counties Officials Legislative Conference.
Mr. Chair, just one comment. I just wanted to say, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say, Brent, thanks to you and to all the staff who were a part of putting together Taos County Day, because I know that was a lift and we didn't have a lot of time. So I just want to thank everybody who played a role.
Thank you for saying that. I want to thank Anissa. In the end of the day, Chris, Jason, Jessica, we're all here. We're all loading the vehicle. We had other partners that did come over to help as well. So,
and if I might just add, one of our partners was Representative Ortiz. She helped get some Bison Star natural program. Bison Star natural products to share with our State House. And Mr. Plant, thank you for being there covering it for us. Nice work. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Brush. Other questions? If not, we can move to the next item, which is Veterans Cemetery update. I see Richard in the room.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Good to see you. Veterans Cemetery, I haven't sent you any photographs recently because we have plumbers and electricians working inside the building before we get a framing inspection. It's not real visible that there's a lot of things going on, but there actually are. All the conduits just about all in place. Venting and whatnot is going through the roof, all the rough-in plumbing for the bathrooms, for the offices, the public restrooms is all going in place. They have started covering the exterior of the building just a little bit. We have to leave a lot of it exposed because there's still one more welding inspection, which is separate from the state. It's one of our third-party inspections. We will be doing a project meeting tomorrow, and we'll have a drone flyover again tomorrow. So maybe the end of this week or early next week, you'll have some drone footage of the building, and you'll see how it's, like I said, it's probably 80% covered. I'll send some photos out today that I did take yesterday, and things are moving well. Like I said, there's no weather days on this project. We have a hard deadline of 100% certificate of occupancy, June 30th, and that's what we're aiming for. Any questions?
Great. The building is going up.
It's going up.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Richard, on that one. And then we'll move to the Historic County Courthouse.
Historic County Courthouse. Weather, concrete plant breakdowns, a little bit of everything. Things are moving along. The portal, like I said, is ready for stucco. We've started in over excavation, and yesterday they poured the first section of flowable fill underneath the elevator foundations. Because we are in such a tight area, we didn't want to over excavate and then have to compact the soil, take chance of damaging our foundations or the neighbor's foundation. So the way it's engineered is we over excavate down to good soil, and we pour in what's called flowable fill. It's a 1,500 PSI concrete that takes the place of the dirt, helps spread the load even more, and then the foundation for the elevator will start there. So we've got the flowable fill underneath the elevator pit in place. In 3 to 4 days, the masons will show up and start laying block for the first section of the elevator pit. When they get above the finished floor, then they'll have to grout it. We'll have to get more inspections. We'll wait a little bit. Then we'll start doing some of the over excavation for the actual building part of the handicap access from the north side and the fire exit from the second floor. Things are moving along well. We have run into a little bit of an issue with the existing roof. It's needed repair for many years, but it's gotten to the point that we're getting some major leaks and causing a little bit of structural damage. So we've asked the contractor who's had the roofing subcontractor up on the roof to look at it, evaluate it. We should have a report and an idea of what it's going to cost to at least, I hate to do such an expensive patch, but if we don't patch it and take care of it while we're doing the rest of the construction, we're going to have major adobe issues on the east and west walls. The canales are leaking bad, one of them on the east side really bad. So by next report, I hope to have an idea of the change order that we're going to need to, not to throw good money after bad, but the roof needs some repair to protect the building. So we are going to take care of it. We'll issue a change order. We'll use it as part of this project. And then eventually the whole roof will be redone after all the new mechanical equipment and new electrical and mechanical goes in above the courthouse area and whatnot. But for right now, we are going to have to do some significant repairs. Other than that, project is moving good. Still waiting on our federal money. We're working on that, and we're just going to keep working on getting more funding. Any questions?
Questions? How's the contractor dealing with labor issues? Are they finding?
Labor is always an issue in northern New Mexico, but the bulk of his subcontractors are out of Albuquerque. And like I've said in the past, right now our concrete contractor and our block contractors, the subcontractors, they're out of Albuquerque. They were the concrete contractors, the same contractor that did concrete work here. He's doing concrete for Franken on 3 different projects here in northern New Mexico. They're doing concrete work for us at the Veterans Cemetery, La Cienega, and I think that's it for right now. One concrete sub is doing 6 different projects for 3 different contractors here in Taos.
So finding skilled labor is still an issue.
Yeah.
Okay. If there are no further questions, we'll move to general construction update. Richard.
General construction updates. I think I sent everybody a photo, or maybe not, but we have our, we'll start off with firehouses. Design work for Costilla is in process. We're going to start working on our infrastructure, putting in for a rural address, electrical, telephone, because there's nothing on the Colorado border for Costilla Firehouse, but it's moving along. We're going to start on the infrastructure stuff there. We have to continue phase 2 of this La Cienega Senior Center. San Cristobal fire department has a 30,000 gallon storage tank that has been delivered to the site. Now that the weather's clearing up, we'll start digging that to put in another fire hydrant there in San Cristobal with 30,000 gallons of backup water supply. The 40,000 gallon tank for Rio Fernando was delivered on the 25th, last Friday. It got unloaded and is stored in place without any issue. We didn't have to, I was really concerned about the traffic. I'll send you some pictures because they are 73 feet long and 10 feet in diameter, and that's not a very big road to unload something that big, but it went real well. The volunteer fire department helped with staff. Contractor had staff. I don't think traffic was blocked for more than 5 minutes. So that one will be going in also this spring. Work at Ag Center, we're still waiting for our heating and air conditioning units. Once those come in, they'll be able to set those to the curbs and ducting and continue with finished ceilings and finished drywall. We've already spoken about the Veterans Cemetery and the courthouse, Penasco Community Center. Chris Madrid, our deputy managers, had meetings with the end users for the grant for Mas Comunidad, and we've adjusted some more of the design, and so that's working forward, and hopefully we'll be breaking ground this spring on that also.
Questions? Commissioner Brush.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you so much, Richard, for all of the good info. Just wondering if there are any updates on any of the other community centers.
Talpa Community Center has some money, but I don't know exactly what's going on there. Arroyo Hondo, we have a design and we have a contract proposal to repair their bathrooms, completely remodel them. We are lacking a little bit of funding because they asked for money for a septic system, which they didn't need. They needed the bathroom plumbing to be replaced. I believe our staff manager and deputy manager are working to find the last little bits, and we'll put a contract for that and have it in place soon.
Me and Mr. Madrid talked yesterday. We need to find another $65,000 on top of the 90,000. So we were looking at one of the grants that we could maybe use ARPA or LACTF to supplement this as well. So we had that discussion yesterday afternoon.
So the bathrooms have not been, there hasn't been any work on those bathrooms in Hondo yet?
No. Facility staff, Mr. Frost is looking at purchasing a couple toilets. The toilets are in bad shape, but it's not so much the toilets, it's the actual under the concrete plumbing. When we ran cameras through it, it's just pitted and it's in bad shape. Vents aren't in the right places. They're at the end of the in the middle of the building, which they should be at the end of the building. And so it's just a little bit of everything. And so this renovation will make an ADA accessible bathroom, all new fixtures, new concrete floor, all new plumbing in the bathrooms.
Thank you.
The detox center up on Weimer, we've gotten some of the initial design work for the rehab part. The main deal on that is the fire suppression that's required. Numbers came in high. I'm not unexpected at all. We've asked the contractor that is giving us an estimate to revise the location and the location of the fire line. Initially, it was a straight line shot, so we were cutting up asphalt, sidewalks and whatnot. Gilberto and I thought we could probably save a little bit of funding if we go around the parking lot. We have the spacing. It's a little bit more piping, but you're not tearing up your parking lots, your sidewalks, as much concrete inside the building to get the fire suppression into the building. So they are working on repricing that for us, and hopefully we'll have some numbers on that and keep that one moving forward also.
Any further questions for Richard? If not, thank you, Richard.
No, thank you
for your updates. And we move next to
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. How are you doing today? I will give a quick update on everything that's going on through Public Works. Blueberry Hill. Hopefully we'll be starting that soon. Late spring, early summer. We are waiting for temperatures to warm up for Rio Lucero. That is going to be a 3-inch overlay. They have done repairs on that roadway to at least get us through winter, and that has been held up pretty good. That's been doing okay. As far as the completed projects that we had towards the latter part of the fall, just to give a quick update on those, West Camino Abajo La Loma, East Camino Abajo La Loma, as well as Cuchilla Road as far as chip seal, those have been completed. The ones that we are working towards now in the spring, once temperature allows, Plaza Road, up in Peñasco, School Road up in Peñasco, Cuchilla Road also in Peñasco are up for chip seal as well. Rio Chiquito Road also in Peñasco, as well as the Rio Chiquito Bridge. That we are working really diligently to try to get that started in the spring as well. We did have to have a closure on that particular bridge because of issues that were issued out by the state as far as it not being able to be continue for use anyway. Up until this point, we did have that open. It has been shut as of last month. Crack seal projects, we've got C-110, which is State Road 570, old State Road 570, crack seal for it, and now in the spring, Camino del Medio, that is also crack seal for spring of 2024. Los Cordovas Road, that encompasses District 1 as well as District 3, crack seal on that as well. Upper Ranchitos, that would be District 4. That is also set for crack seal now in the spring of 2024. Striping of all roads that we had listed had been done in the fall, although that did not stay very well. So we will have a lot of those roads restriped now in the spring. So that will be repairs as well as either repainting or fog sealing some of those roads that we just can't leave what was left behind by the striping contractor. Other things that crews have been working on, vegetation control, trees, now with the winds, heavy snows, those are always a potential and can cause issues now in the springtime. So we're trying to get ahead of the game, try to remove some of those things off of there so that we don't have those problems. Pothole repair, all districts. We've been pushing for that quite a bit. We did get fresh material yesterday, so the crews are out today and trying to get those taken care of for the upcoming storms that will last pretty much the rest of the week into the weekend. Grading of roads, if weather permits. I know there is a lot of moisture that has been causing a lot of issues on some of our dirt roads. So we are doing our best to try to take care of that as best as we can. Hopefully that winter will start to ease up a little bit and allow us a little bit more nicer weather to get that done. We are working on making sure that the culverts are open, clean, so that when we do get that thaw, it can run off the edge of the roadway and actually not cause any further issues. La Morada Road, For the realignment as well as the head gate relocation, all we're waiting for is signatures, Taos Municipal Schools, as well as a couple of the residents within that area. Once those are taken care of, then we can actually go out to bid for construction. Alex Abeto, which is the engineer, has given a soft commitment for March as far as getting that started. Hopefully we can get that done prior to the upcoming Acequia opening. So that's where we're sort of at. Any questions?
Questions?
No, well, comments. I just wanted to thank you. I know some of the roads you mentioned fall within my district, and folks have been really pleased with the work, and so thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And thank you for the update.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Brush.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Joe. Mr. Fernandez, appreciate it a lot, especially the striping. That makes a big difference for folks out there, whether it's dark or daytime, so thank you for that. I just have one question for you, because it sounded like you were telling us that late spring, early summer was coming soon.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
But I'm just curious, what are the weather conditions that allow you to go out and do the bulk of the work, not just the patching that you mentioned is going on now, but for the bigger projects, the crack seal and the other work? What kind of weather conditions are you looking for?
Typically, it's usually about 40 degrees and rising. Sometimes that number can go up just a little bit higher. But what we want it to be able to do is any striping that does take place, that it is warm enough so they can adhere and last much longer. When we get either way too late in the season or too early in the season, we run the risk that it's not going to adhere very well and come off rather quickly.
And just that weather condition, 40 degrees and rising, so like that's even overnight, right? It's not getting below that. Does that apply for other repair work as well, not just the striping?
As far as the, let's say on the grading portion, as long as the ground is thawed, where we can get good movement of that structure underneath, so we can be able to get that blend back in there and allow it to actually get compaction. That is typically a little bit warmer than that. If we, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go finish.
If we do get out there way too early, what we do is that we start loosening up a lot of frozen material, which is eventually what it's going to do. It's going to thaw much quicker and it's going to turn into mush. Literally, we'll just make those problems that much worse by doing that a little too early. So typically, you want to be able to get that base at least on the drier side, but at least with some moisture so that when it is turned, it can actually get the compaction that's required.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay, now as far as the asphalt itself, dependent on the contractor, they'll list their degree as far as at least that warming section of the day. Like I said, typically it's that 40-degree mark. It might be just a little higher depending on what they're planning on doing. If it is more of a chip seal progress or transition, that might be a little bit closer to that 40-degree. Anything above that would probably be more for asphalt, but that will be just dependent on what the contractor would indicate as far as being a comfortable temperature to deal with.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Reed.
Yes, it brought to mind I have had some calls regarding like Valerio Road and some of the other roads. Just wondering, and more so for the sake of the folks that might be listening, I know that when you all decide which roads you're going to take on monetarily, we have to look and see what we have in our budgets. But also, can you give a little bit of insight as to what you look at or look for before you decide to actually fix a road? And let me just kind of tell you what I'm thinking, because I know bus routes make a difference. We also look at infrastructure, right? And whether, for example, at Valle de los Nachos is going to be doing some work there.
Right.
But can you elaborate on that a little bit?
When we have larger, I wouldn't say larger, when we've got roads that encompass arterial routes, school bus routes. We also look at infrastructure. If infrastructure has already taken place on that roadway, or if it's still in the progress of actually getting infrastructure done. We'd hate to go ahead and get a project done like this as far as repaving, chip seal, knowing very well within the next year or two that we may have that entire roadway dug up for those connections actually take place. As we see what's happening now in District 1 when it comes down to Cuchilla Road. They're doing a lot of work out there as far as the sewer line. That's why we were able to get the first portion done, because that is not due for quite a while. But on this particular section, we can see the damage that it takes and the issues that it presents once they start digging into that roadway. So those are some of the key things that we look for. And like I said, it can happen fast enough on both ends, both for infrastructure as well as for our ability to be able to care for these roads. But it's got to be in a comfortable spot where we can actually make sure that when we do it, we can make it last as long as we possibly can.
Great. And on chip seal, is it called chip and?
Chip seal.
Chip seal.
Yeah, chip seal.
Now, I know that's a lesser in regards to costs than actually asphalt, right?
Yes.
But it does in fact, basically when it's poured over, if there's like an indention into that area, it basically will reform itself after a while. And what I'm getting at is I've seen in some of the areas where the chip seal has taken place, where water is now starting to kind of settle there again.
Yes.
And so I'm concerned that we might in a year or two see the same.
Right. And I have received those photos from the crews out there, so I have relayed those messages to the contractor indicating we do have issues in certain areas, and they are very well aware of it, and they will be coming back to take care of those particular areas.
And who's responsible for the drainage side of it? Because I think part of it could be the drainage in itself, that there's not a really good drainage.
And really for most of our roads, drainage is a very big issue. A lot of the roads that we have were never engineered at all. And primarily they were never meant to have the amount of traffic that they currently have. And some of the weight of some of the traffic that we have. So typically we do the best that we possibly can under the circumstance, but what we do try to get done is any opportunity we can to be able to get that water off the roadway. We will do so in any way, shape, or form that can allow us to get that water easily away from that roadway. A lot of times we do have low-lying areas where the shoulders are higher than the roadway, so we're sort of stuck. We've got more of like the proper terminology in English is more of a canova. It serves as just a little gully where it just sort of sits there. It's hard to be able to get that water out of there under the circumstances, but like I said, we do the best we can with what is existing to try to get that water out. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for explaining that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any further questions from other commissioners? I'm glad to see that construction on Blueberry Hill and Morada Road are imminent.
Yes.
What is Morada Road being paved? Is that?
The first portion from 518 out towards the, just past the cemetery, that would be the only portion, to my understanding, would be the only portion that would be actually paved.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes. Okay. And the realignment of the roadway to be able to at least soften that turn going through along the edge of the cemetery would actually push that roadway away from the cemetery, as well as the relocation of the head gate. That, if I could,
maybe Jason.
Yeah, if I can get my deputy county manager up here, Jason Silva, to elaborate a little bit more on it.
Morning, Commissioner. Thank you for letting me do that. That is going to be contingent on how much you want to do at Blueberry Hill. So Blueberry Hill is kind of a tough one to swallow because it's contingent, I guess, on this project and then contingent on the state. So currently, since we were ranked #1 through the Transportation Project Fund, we still were denied funding, which that didn't come out well because I was projecting that would have been first phase. The second would be second phase. And since, I don't know how else to put it, we just got bypassed. I'm thinking it's contingent on this main drag and having 2 critical arterial routes. And that's why they said maybe we can bypass this and push it off down the road. But right now, all of our money that we have in the 399 road fund that comes from the PIL, which is payment in lieu of taxes, is going to be generated to support that first phase of Blueberry Hill. So any other projects are going to be kind of going to the back burner unless we receive some sort of capital outlay or something from the legislature this go around. But yeah, at this point, those are at a standstill because we're it's an element of just plain
But
monopoly.
my understanding was that we did have some money in the budget for design on that. Tom Holder Road.
Oh, are you talking about the scoping report or the design?
Well, the scope of work happened some time ago, but the design was
The
supposed to
design,
proceed.
there was some money, but like I said, it's going to be pushed into Blueberry Hill at this point.
Yeah.
So yes. Yeah, and then the scoping report is something that's still being completed by WH Pacific. I should have a presentation to you for within the next month though.
Okay.
And that kind of will just I've given you snapshots of it, but essentially it'll be a presentation by the engineer of how where we got to this point, and then what are the three phases. At that point, we need to invest in the design. But at this point, like I mentioned, the 399 road funds are going to be pushed towards Blueberry Hill for that first phase.
And so maybe sometime this year, maybe we could have a work study session just on roads.
Yes.
It seems like there's a lot of
issues of roads, and I mean, I've heard Commissioner Vihil's comment about drainage. A lot of these roads weren't designed, they were just adopted with no proper method of creating either stormwater or any infrastructure that would support low-lying areas. So a lot of this is we're dealing with suspension of water because there's not adequate drainage. If not, we're going to be draining onto somebody's property. You know, there wasn't much foresight to support a future of connecting roadways when they transition to something that may handle 10 cars a day to like Tom Holder Road. When I grew up as a child, I would never thought that would have been a 2,300 car per day roadway. And, you know, I mean, but that shows the drastic change of, development, but then we didn't bring up the road structure to support the development of widening roads and purchasing easements, and then now we're restricted to these type of how we're going to do this after the fact. So, sorry, any further questions?
Yes, thank you, Jason. Yeah, I think.
One more question, I'm sorry. Blueberry Hill, because everyone out there is really waiting to see that project move forward. Phase one, can you, and you may have said this, so forgive me if you did mention it, how much coverage of road is that going to, because I think there's expectation that Blueberry is going to, once you get started, you're going to pave the entire road, and that's quite a lot. So it's not going to be the entire Blueberry Hill, right?
No, you know, I mean, that road is in desperate need of repair, and I'm going to kind of go back to the pandemic to essentially how this is created, the delays on this roadway. And this project should have been finished in 2023. Right now, it looks as projected 2025. Through this process of that, you know, the influx of residents that have moved into this community, and then just, you know, people wanting to travel and come to this destination area of our beautiful county. What I've seen happen over at Blueberry Hill would be that all our freight route that used to come through the middle of town that would hit 60, go 522, go up north to Denver, or come out towards going towards Alamos or the west side, has been diverted from Blueberry Hill, and that's why all these crack seals projects are coming into flourishing, is because a lot of those other residential roadways that we have are turning into be freight routes, and they're compromising the structural integrity of this roadway. So that's why all the lateral cracks are coming through, and we're trying to get ahead of the curve and provide preventive maintenance to support these roadways, because we don't have the funding to be paving them every couple of years. Through that process of that, Blueberry Hill has kind of taken a toll on 18-wheel traffic. So that determines, when the scoping report and the traffic counts were conducted, there's a single axle wheel, then there's a tandem axle wheel, then there's going to be the 18-wheel, there's going to be a 6-axle wheel. That shows me that the traffic counts are showing that becomes a freight route. Through that process of that roadway, I'm wanting to shift gears where we can use and maximize the funding that we have now. Instead of making this a $12 million project towards design, would be shifting it where we're just going to do a mill and pave project that we could probably pave the whole road for $6 million. And then hopefully down the road, we can go back, and with the next go around would be, 5-10 years, but we need we need to repair that road in immediate time frame with the amount of money that we're willing to invest in this. And that kind of goes back to, I hope that answers your question. The hope is we're probably not going to build it towards the original design, We're going to probably utilize some of the areas that we have the adequate width and easement that we won't have to purchase anything, but we're just going to conduct a mill and pave just to get an immediate need for our constituents to have a safe and travelable road for constituents and life safety personnel.
Great. Okay, thank you. I just think it's important for folks to know out there that we're doing our very best, obviously, with the funding that we do have, and the costs have increased, and what we thought we could do back then is not something we can do right now. And in the immediate, we really need to do something, right?
Yes. And you know, it's contingent. I'm not trying it's frustrating on my part when we rank third and first over the last 3 years of the Transportation Project Fund and PRTPO meetings, and there's a mechanism that rates and ranks us amongst our local government peers. And when you rank number one and $5 million of sidewalks go to Red River, we battle ourselves with our local governments. And I hate to be picking, but we have a critical road that serves constituents on a daily basis that we need to address. Instead of, sidewalks could wait in my mind, but that's just, I'm kind of being a little bitter towards this. And I guess I probably should stop but I'm speaking as a constituent, not as an employee. I feel that we need to direct this. I'm speaking from the heart at this point. So.
Right, and thank you for that. And I did want to add one more last comment. Commissioners, think that we keep on doing the same thing. We're doing our very best with the funds that we have. We have to do something different. We're not going to get a different result because we keep on, kind of piecemealing and doing the very best that we can with what we've got. It's just food for thought that we started thinking out of the box and how are we going to potentially turn this around so that we do have good roads. I mean, I don't know what that looks like. I've been kind of thinking myself, like, what do we do? But since I can remember, since I've been in, here at the county, it's the same thing. We're always doing our very, very best, but it's just not working. And so what I'm getting at is we need to think out of the box and figure out how are we going to have this continuous funding. We're always begging for funding, right, to do these roads. So we've got to figure out a way to have funding come through on a continuous basis so we can keep up with these roads.
You said it right there, funding. So it has improved in the time that I've worked for Taos County, that there's been more money put into this. Stuff to consider is there's just a small fraction, if anything, left on gross receipts tax that you can bond out against that. There's a mill that's expiring. We can bond out against that mill that's expiring. A lot of times what we say is we don't even take care of ourselves, but we need to take care of ourselves. So there's not going to be too much more money that's available, but so it's something to think about, consider when folks ask you for our gross receipts tax or our mill money, is that maybe we should
hold on to it
and bond against it and put it back into our road infrastructure.
Yeah, definitely. Just thank you for that. But I know you guys do a heck of a job under the, conditions, circumstances, but we do need to think about doing something different because we're just getting the same results.
Yeah, so maybe we do need to think about scheduling a work study sometime this year. There's so many questions around roads, not just the funding, maintenance schedule, but who owns the roads? How many county roads do we have that are owned by the county? How many are county maintained? And even the easements around the roads. Do we have good easements on all of them? So, yeah, okay, go ahead, Jason.
No, just I would welcome a work study session for us to, discuss this because this would identify, and we as a governing body and administration can come out of that knowing like what is our next directions of how we want to move forward, because it is a desperate, I feel the 3 years that I've been here, 2 years in this position, feels like I'm failing because I'm not providing funding. But the NACO conference, whoever's attending it this weekend, when you talk to our federal delegation, please let them know, and I think you guys have already done that where you're being champions for this, is the bill, the bipartisan infrastructure law, isn't feasible for rural America. 100% match of trying to fund this is, there's money out there. I get numerous calls from constituents. Well, you have money, you're just not doing anything. You're just sitting on it. And I'm like, please let me know if there's another mechanism. But at this point, for us to show our federal delegation, rural America, if we're going to pull in this money that is being highlighted, that it's there for us to use, I need to leverage that with some matching funds, and I currently don't have that. So.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Brush.
Thank you. And to that point, Jason, there is a bill, I think it's HB 77 right now. I'm not sure where it is, but that's to create a pool on the state side of matching funds that then we could go use to do exactly what you're saying. It's like get some of the federal grants, because then the state would help us with the matching funds. But what was happening last week was the amount got reduced from 100 million for the whole pool for matching funds to 50 million. I mean, and one wastewater project in Albuquerque is going to suck all of that up. So we had folks there from other county governments like making comments about that bill. But Commissioner Vihil, I appreciate your comments about like we have to do something different out of the box. But as you were saying that, I stuck on something that Mr. Fernandez said, which is that so many of our roads were never engineered in the first place. So I think that's important for us to recognize and point out to the public as well, because we're always going to be kind of chasing our tail, right? Because unless we tear it completely up and start from scratch, some of the runoff issues, some of the recurring potholes because there's water too close in some of my own road, like the same darn potholes in the exact same place come every spring. It's fascinating to me, but that's where the water is because it's a dirt road and it's private, It's fascinating that they come back exactly the same every year. But when we have roads that weren't ever planned out, engineered, as you said, in the first place, we're going to be constantly dealing with this. So like as Commissioner Vihil, you and Manager Jaramillo said, it is the funding issue that we're going to have to, in funding even for more staff probably, if we're going to do something truly different. But thank you guys for staying on top of it as much as you do. And I definitely welcome the idea of a work study on this soon, because we're like this close to the season where everyone's going to want us to adopt their road because it's too muddy. And I know that we're probably still not in the place where we can do that.
No, we're definitely not in a place to adopt new roads. We have 3 vacancies, right, Joe?
We've got 2 vacancies as of right now.
So, and we should really be 5-man crews per district, and we're 3-man crews per district. That includes the foreman. So we should have a foreman and 4 operators under the foreman. So we should be at 25 employees plus the director. So we're at 16 budgeted positions, including the director. So we have a ways to go as well.
Okay, thank you, Joe. And thank you, Jason. Thank you, Manager Jaramillo. We move on then to commissioner reports and matters, new business to be considered at a future commission meeting. Who's? Go ahead. Commissioner Brush.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sit right next to me. If I could just request that in one of our next couple of meetings, we get a report back on the ARPA and the LATCF funds, the American Rescue Plan Act and the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund buckets of money, like what have we spent so far and what's left, and what are some of the ideas or requests that management and staff might have for whatever remains. So if we could do that in the next couple of meetings, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. So I've got a couple of things that I'd like to share with you. So now that we head up to DC, I wanted to let you all know that Commissioner Hansen out of Santa Fe and I will be proposing in the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee interim resolution encouraging Congress to pass HR 5764, which supports Water Efficient Strategies and Technologies Act of 2023. This will amend the Food Security Act of 1985 to increase payments for drought resilient or water saving practices and to provide additional payments for perennial production systems and other purposes. This is has been introduced by Congresswoman Teresa Ledger Fernandez It is bipartisan, so it also includes Congressman David Valadao out of California and Congresswoman Shelley Pingree out of Maine. They have introduced, once again, this support. And so what this really does is it supports the agricultural practices more commonly used in dry areas for farmers to have resources available to continue growing the food necessary for our nation to prosper. The legislation will make perennial production systems eligible for supplemental payments within the Conservation Stewardship Program. And so I just want to let you know, Commissioners, that this will be read in front of the Agricultural and Rural Affairs Committee and will be voted on. And so that's one thing that's going to be taking place. I also want to let you know that through the 100% Taos County Initiative, the Food Action Team has begun meeting, and Councilwoman Ortega, myself, and our Executive Director, Jennifer Armand, have been meeting with individuals in the community, such as the food pantries, community schools, and the intent is to address the barriers to food security in Taos. And so I just wanted to give you guys just kind of a heads up that's taking place. And I just happened to meet up with the Director of Food Support or Income Support in Santa Fe. And so she is willing to come to Taos and support, do some pop-ups in which they can set up some areas and hopefully help individuals attain whatever they need to get some additional food. So just wanted to let you know that's taking place.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Any other commissioner announcements? And on commissioner reports, I have one. I did attend the safety committee meeting last week. They talked about issues such as keeping outdoor lights on, keeping fire extinguishers serviced and updated, defensive driver training, homeless shelter, and they also brought up the issue that Taos County, this is at last week's New Mexico County's Legislative Conference held in Santa Fe. Jason Trujillo accepted the awards for Taos County. He accepted an award where Taos County won the RAP Award for successfully completing 13 of the New Mexico County's risk awareness program, completing 13 years of the New Mexico County's risk awareness program, and reducing the multi-line claims by 11% and auto claims by 51%, and law enforcement claims by 27%. And of worker compensation claims for the year 2023. So I thought that was a big deal. And did we do a press release on that, Manager Harvey?
Generally comes from New Mexico counties, but I haven't seen it. So in the past, they'll send it directly to the Taos News. So I'll double check because I don't think I've seen it because generally I'll see it come across.
Okay. Okay, any other commission reports? Go ahead. Okay, Commissioner Brush.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And if you'll all bear with me, and thank you also for going to the safety committee meeting last week. I appreciate you doing that. It's my favorite committee meeting. Last week after Taos County Day in Santa Fe, I stuck around for another couple of days because North Central New Mexico Economic Development District had its annual meeting. Shared, so I will just try to give you some highlights, but there are a number of them that I want to share because they are things that perhaps Taos County could participate in and or take advantage of somehow. And the first was there was an update from the disaster recovery team working out of Las Vegas in the wake of the Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon fire. North Central, which is our COG or Council of Governments for the northern part of the state, after the fire, as the fire was going on, pretty quickly tried
decide to step up and offer technical assistance. And then even more quickly realized that they needed specialists in that area to do that job. So they have two folks who are recovery and emergency management specialists who are, again, like living in Las Vegas and helping with technical assistance. Some of the things that they've been able to do for Mora and San Miguel are bringing in a whole lot more money, including $8 million for wildfire defense, so thinning, taking out the downed trees. $3 million they've brought in and are managing the project to put generators at all of the fire stations in San Miguel and Mora. So basically, if the power is out or has been cut for whatever, you'll still be able to raise your garage door to get the fire engine out. They've also got almost $200,000 for volunteer firefighter gear, $750,000 for EMS and an EMS healthcare substation in Wagon Mound. So kind of like, so people don't have to necessarily go to Vegas or Santa Fe. They've also done a lot around training and communications, both like the equipment that is needed for good comms, effective comms, and the training for effective intergovernmental coordination. And in doing this, they're coming up with a lot of ideas about what's good to do first. Like, for example, have the clerk in the assessor's office like share records, share contact information, because one of the issues that they ran into in the wake of the fire was they didn't always know, it's not unusual for our area, they didn't always know who had the deed to that house, right? So if they wanted to call, they being the government or emergency response, they wanted to call you and tell you whether your house had burned or had not burned, they couldn't find people. So just that was some really important work that is being done by some folks who have done this kind of all over. And Felicity Fonseca, who is their community development lead at North Central, is kind of going around to counties and just offering updates and support. And this might be a topic that our team, and I'll leave it up to management, is interested in hearing from these guys about, to see, like, is there stuff that we could be doing to be that much more prepared. Also had a big update from the senior program, because North Central does operate the senior programs. A lot of discussion around food deserts, like if you're up in Clayton or like between Clayton and Raton, like where are you getting your food? They're also, this is the program I mentioned several reports back. They have a grant that rehabs houses for seniors that qualify at a certain income level, and they've completed the first one. And what's kind of cool about that program is they don't just say, oh, you need new windows or your door sealed up or whatever. They bring in physical therapists and occupational therapists to say, okay, as you are at the age you are at, what are your needs? Can you move around safely and comfortably? So they rehab based on your own needs as an aging person. The WINS program was another thing we got an update on. That was the Good Jobs Challenge grant. That was a $6.4 million federal grant that they got a couple of years ago. Some of you might remember it kicked off here in Taos last fall. And that is kind of like a matchmaking service between people who are underemployed or unemployed and potential employers. So folks coming out of incarceration or out of treatment, out of recovery, or just needing a leg up to get a job are matched with all kinds of services, from training to social services, and then kind of like moved along the pipeline to the employer. And a couple of things that they've done, which were really kind of impressive and important, they got, as part of the job training facet of this, they got common numbering for training courses throughout the state. So it doesn't matter which community college, which university you're at, if you're taking Welding 101, it's the same identifier. The reason why that's super important, just so I was sharing this because I thought it was super smart. If you started in Las Cruces and then moved to Santa Fe or Espanola,
you don't have to start over and retake that class just because it doesn't have the same identifier. You now get credit for what you already did. So that was just like a basic thing that they did. They also implemented or pushed to have implemented among all of our education institutions contextual reading classes. So if you need a reading class to get your associate's degree, you don't have to read Shakespeare, you read your welding textbook. So reading is contextualized, which is again, just like a very smart and logical thing. But that's part of what the WINS program, and hopefully like here in Taos County, we can get some employees through that program. But it's just like they're making progress. They have a mobile training unit. Maybe we can get that to come up here. I think it's going to be in Espanola, but I'll keep you updated on that in a couple of weeks. It's a big like RV van where you actually go in there and you start your training on welding or whatever whatever you need to do. The last thing I will give an update on is like there are several bills moving through the legislature that are about funding for the COGS, including North Central. And this is important because we got money through capital outlay to the tune of about $300,000, not we, but North Central. And that $300,000 invested in grant writing through Felicity's team has so far brought in $35 million to the northern part of the state. Amazing return on investment. So if we can continue to, push our delegation and the state to invest in this, the return is incredible. And that's just the grants that we've already heard about. Like there's still more pending, but for 300 and some dollar investment to bring 35 million in, a lot of it again going to that disaster recovery work. It's pretty impressive. So that's my long report. Sorry, it was the annual meeting, 2 days worth of good information. And again, there are opportunities here for us to get some help and support from North Central. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Brush. Commissioner Hill.
Yes. Okay, and I'll start with community schools. A never boring meeting. This is a great meeting. This was a great meeting. I don't think I've ever went to one that has not been good. Just a quick update. The group is ready to form a coalition and board. They want to meet with ABC Partnership next to get questions answered. And this should be happening next week on the 12th. And it looks like we're not going to be here for that, are we?
I'm going to try to call in.
Okay. So the group seems to agree that the following entities should have a rep on the coalition board if they want to, and this is County Town, Taos Municipal Schools, and Penasco Independent School District, Cuesta Independent School District, Charter Schools, Taos Pueblo, and Picorus Pueblo. So it's basically it. That's what I've got in regards to community schools.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Taos County Economic Development Board. As you are aware, Commissioners, TCEDC provides educational opportunities, assets, and tools for the community that supports and protects the environment of our unique valley. So a couple of things that have been taking place is on January 13th, Farmers Outreach Solutions President CEO Daryl Tenney trained local farmers and ranchers in businesses and financial planning, record keeping and accounting, ranch tax requirements, preparations and legal deductions, and other, I'm sure, other topics there. Participants asked great questions and walked away better positioned to thrive in the agricultural industry with the agribusiness way. There was a recording of this event, and so if anyone wants to see that, they can go on to tcedc.org. There are a couple of upcoming events. TCEDC Executive Director Mercedes Rodriguez will be joined by Alianza Agricultura, the Taos Executive Director Julian Joyce, and local rancher Nino Martinez at the Taos Roundtable meeting on Wednesday, February 7th from 4 to 5 to provide information on the Matanza Meat Processing Facility. This meeting is taking place at Casa Benavides Inn at 137 Kit Carson Road, and the public is encouraged to attend. And following that discussion, February 7th at 5:30, listening session and Matanza program updates will take place at TCEDC facility, which is on 1021 Salazar Road, and a free dinner will be provided. And last, in regards to TCEDC today, in my report, I wanted to let you all know they are in partnership with New Mexico's Farmers Marketing Association, and will be hosting a free farm food safety training in the TCEDC hacked room, which is once again 1021 Salazar Road. This will take place on Wednesday, February 21st, and on a Wednesday, February 28th. It is broken down into 2 tiers. This training will be conducted just to kind of give you an idea. Tier 1 training explores food safety hazards that may be present on farms and highlights practices to mitigate those risks. The trainers provide hands-on technical assistance to help you apply these concepts directly to your own farm. On the Tier 2 training, you will understand more understanding on detailed concepts of good agricultural practices, and you'll be able to write your own farm risk assessment with trainers, increase the level of food safety on your farm, and become an approved supplier for the New Mexico Grown Program, the New Mexico Grown Program. You do need to register, and folks need to can do that by going to TCDC's website. So that's all I've got for that. More. And on the Northern Rio Grande National Heritage Area, we hosted a legislative breakfast on February 1st at the Capitol, and following, we held our annual board meeting at the State Land Office. We had Zach Quintero from National Hispanic Cultural Center provide a presentation about the Spanish language project in northern New Mexico. This project is about preserving languages. It was really a great opportunity to see how they're going to move that project forward. So I'll bring more as it is presented in the near future. Moving forward, Northern Rio Grande National Heritage Area has created a partnership with New Mexico Historic Sites to empower Northern New Mexico cultural economy. The highlights, which I can pass on to you, Commissioners. There's a lot of information here, and I'm sure you all don't want me to stay here for the next hour and tell you, read it to you, but I did want to at least point out that one of the projects that's taking place in regards to this partnership is agriculture at Los Luceros. I don't know if you're familiar where that's located. It's in Alcalde, and there are several projects that are taking place. And so one, just to give you just a general idea, it appears that we're signing an MOU with Northern New Mexico College to collaborate on training local aspiring farming and farmers, and so I believe that they're going to do grapes. They're going to plant grapes, and because that was done many, many years ago, it is something that they're just going to pick up and try to do again. There's also culinary destination and commercial kitchen that's being revamped at the Los Luceros, and there's also some arts and creators at Los Luceros. And once again, I'm going to pass this on so you all can take a look, but I believe Eric Vasquez will come in the future to present in detail what all is taking place, but this just gives you a couple of highlights. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Commissioner Vehil. And at this time, we'll move to item 14, unless any other committee reports. If not, we'll move to item 14, the Taos County Board of Commission may convene in closed session. Item A, discussion regarding potential lease of property. This matter may be discussed in executive session under Open Meetings Act, Exemption 1015-1H8, which allows for discussion of the purchase, acquisition, or disposal of real property or water rights by the public body. This time I'd entertain a motion for executive session. Motion by Commissioner Miguel Romero.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mascareñas. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Vehil?
Yes.
Commissioner Brush?
Yes.
Vice Chair Mascareñas?
Yes.
Chair Romero?
Yes. And thank you. We'll be back after executive session. Thank you all for being here. Come back in. We need a motion. The time is 11:27. We need a motion to come back.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Miguel Romero, second by Commissioner Mascareñas to come back into executive session, back out of executive session, back into open session. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Vehil?
Yes.
Commissioner Brush?
Yes.
Vice Chair Mascarenhas?
Yes.
Chairman Romero?
Yes. And now we need a report out of executive session from the attorney, Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Only those matters that were addressed in the notice for the closed session were addressed during the closed session, and no final decisions were made. That's it.
Motion to accept the attorney's report?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Mascarenhas to accept the attorney report out of executive session. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Romero? Commissioner Vehil?
Yes.
Commissioner Brush?
Yes.
Vice Chair Mascarenhas?
Yes.
Chairman Romero?
Yes. And I think we're ready for adjournment. Motion by Commissioner Mejia Romero,
Second.
second by Commissioner Vehil to adjourn. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We're adjourned. Thank you. Will.
Let's see, does that go on this side?